come up with an idea and pull this footage from nowhere, and it's that easy and simple. But in fact, the people that are able to stay really consistent and have this rhythm and amazing presence do have systems.
Overall, you have that consistency. It's a huge time saver to not have to create from scratch every single time.
It's not as big of a production as it once was when Reels first launched.
Back in the day, it was like people saying, oh, it took me an hour to create this one reel.
In there.
What? Tips to create more content in less time.
As far as one way to create more content easier and faster is, it's a huge shift that's been happening with Instagram that I've been really happy with, is that it's not as big of a production as it once was when Reels first launched. So we can have what I call B-roll or stock footage of yourself in your camera roll, like actually spending time recording yourself doing brand or niche related activities. Like for me, it'd be like on my phone or typing on a computer, but it could be reading a book, journaling, things like that, like 7 to 15-second clips of you doing random things and having, I call it a video vault on your camera roll. So you have an album that's dedicated to those videos. So that way you can use ideas that come to you or thoughts and put text on the screen and share it. Like that's like, I call it like the overthinkers post. Like this is content that you can get out very easily, very quickly. It's still impactful and empowerful. And even though it's not high production, that doesn't mean it's not high value. So I know a lot of people are like, well, it's just me sitting there drinking coffee. It doesn't matter that it only took you 10 seconds to record that one video. It's the thought process behind the actual content within it, the text, the caption. That's where you're going to have that like high production, but not video. So that's one of the things that I always tell like my clients. And yeah, now like my husband is my client. He's starting to build his Instagram and it's just recording. Yeah, it's recording a lot of video of just yourself so you can put some text on it and shoot it out. And there's going to be tons of different ways that everybody else is going to say, but that right now is my favorite.
The misconception is that it's just kind of like, come up with an idea and pull this footage from nowhere, and it's that easy and simple. But in fact, the people that are able to stay really consistent and have this rhythm and amazing presence do have systems, like Brittany said, with that content vault in their camera roll. I can assure you, if you spoke to most creators and business owners that are here on Instagram doing well, they have that vault. And the other vault that I kind of want to talk about is the idea vault, and having that consistent list of ideas. Because I know for a fact, if I was to sit in front of my computer and try and come up with 10 things to post about, I go blank. But I'm in the shower, they're like running in my mind. I'm driving my car, they're coming at me. So I don't want to forget them because I obviously can't create content while I'm driving. So whether it's a voice note or whatever it is, and you can use whatever system that works for you. It might be the Notes app. I use Notion. It can be anything that you're going to stick to and be consistent with. Make like a note of those ideas, whether they're fully fleshed out or it's just one sentence. Maybe it's one thing you said to a client, or something that popped into your mind that you think would immediately help your target audience. Write it down. So when the time comes to actually create that content, you're not starting from zero and having to make that list of ideas first and then going to create that content, whether it's a reel or a carousel or captions. You want to have that idea vault along with your content vault, and those two things together will allow you to be so much more efficient and better with your time and actually generate more content without having to sit and brainstorm first.
Great suggestions, and it makes me wonder, why do the greatest ideas always come to you at the wrong time? Like, I think some of the best ideas have been discovered in like the most weirdest words. Like you might have $1 million idea at a funeral home or something like that, or a service, and it's just weird. But write it down. Yeah, you know, write it down before you have to give that eulogy. So,
I love
I'm sorry, did I just go dark?
I'm here for it.
I loved it.
But no, for real, like these ideas are awesome in regards to how to create more content, because we are living now in a time where it's quantity and quality. I don't think it's and or. I think we don't have to give up one for the other.
I totally agree with that. To add on to that, I would say to have templates and or styles of content that you enjoy, that you like, and that you're going to be known for. You know, when people start to see templates, maybe they get this thought like, oh, I don't want it to look the same on my feed all the time. And it's like, in reality, it makes you recognizable. And I think that it's really important for you to use some form of consistency in your templates and the way you're creating content, whether that's reels or static posts, so that you know, when people are scrolling on their home feed, they can say, oh, well, I obviously know this is Heston because he uses these colors, he uses this font, he uses this style of carousel, whatever it might be. And it's okay to switch that up too. You don't have to use the same one all the time, but overall, you have that consistency. It's a huge time saver to not have to create from scratch every single time. And I would also add repurposing ideas, not just repurposing the piece of content. Like if you created a carousel 2 months ago, don't just repost that. But if you created a carousel 2 months ago, now create it in a reel, that same idea, but in a reel with a caption. So don't over analyze what you're doing, and don't make it harder on yourself. You have so much already at your fingertips and in your arsenal of ideas to create new content from.
Great ideas and suggestions, everybody. You kind of hinted at mine, and it's pretty much the idea of repurposing. I think that we can repurpose in so many ways, whether you want to just keep it local on Instagram and take a carousel and possibly make it into a reel. I don't know, a lot of people have realized there's actually a feature, a native feature on Instagram that takes stories and automatically creates it as a reel. You just have to pretty much hit one button and it does it automatically. Or if you want to go in external, and you know, we always say take your IG reels and move them to TikTok or move them to YouTube Shorts. Obviously, without the watermark, you know, that's a little piece of professional advice. I believe everybody here has been suggesting as well. We want to kind of start repurposing our content because it saves time. And if we use content that we know that has worked prior, whether it's 3 months before or a year, realize you've actually built up your audience from that point in time when you posted it the first time to now. So that means a lot of your audience haven't seen that piece of content. Go ahead and share it. It's not, you're not doing anything icky, because you have more people that haven't seen it. They might be really glad that you did as well, because they're not scrolling back 3 months, 6 months later from when you posted it. So go ahead and share it again, add a little bit more, update it. And that's just my little piece of advice, repurpose our original content. You could take a lot of what we're saying and figure out which practice and put it together and make it work for you. It's like you're creating your own recipe and you kind of discover what you end up making at the end of it. So take these ideas and strategies and tips that we all just suggested. And once again, as I always say, step your gram up. And hopefully we would like to see more content created by you in less time. Obviously less time, not more time. Back in the day, it was like people saying, oh, it took me an hour to create this one reel.
Been there.
What?
So let me know in the comments here, are you more interested in batching your content, or are you more of like the create on the spot kind of inspired action? Really works different for each person. Plus I feel like each person goes through cycles. Like I know for myself, like sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna batch and I really feel good with that, and sometimes I feel better creating the day of. So let us know in the comments, do you batch your content or do you create the day of?